Hi everybody, it's the Gregarious Giggler here, and today I'm coming to you to talk about socialized medicine.
Alfie, is it just for the moment we live? What's it all?
Alright, so I have something to talk about today, and it's something that has made me super duper angry. And in order to cope with it, I'm gonna need a little help to get through this vlog. As I said before, this has made me royally pissed off. And speaking of royalty, did you guys hear that recently the Duchess of Cambridge herself, Kate Middleton, just had a baby? And I'm sure that Miss Kate had all the finest medical treatment readily available to her, because after all, she's royalty. But you know, the funny thing about all this is that in the same country in England, there was another Kate in the hospital with her baby son too, whose name was Alfie, a 23-month-old baby who was diagnosed with an incurable brain condition. And the reason this story is so interesting and the reason that it makes me so angry is because the people at the hospital and the British government murdered Alfie. Now, usually I make light of all the issues that I poke fun at in these vlogs, but this has really made me upset. Let's start from the beginning. I hate social medicine, and I have a lot of reason to hate social medicine because I live here in Europe, where pretty much every country on the continent has socialized medicine, and it doesn't work, and it's for shit, and it's terrible, and I have the scar to prove it. The reason socialized medicine is so popular among Europeans think that it is free when it is not at all free. And the reason I say it's not free is because it's not free. When I've been working here in Italy or when I worked in Hungary, I've had to pay taxes, just like you do in every other country where you live. And those taxes go to socialized medicine. And it's not just a fraction of your taxes. I'm not talking about 5 or 10%. I'm talking about a lot of money. Like, I'm not gonna pick a number because every country varies, but socialized medicine is not cheap. And the quality sucks. Also, you have to wait in long lines. I've wasted half my life waiting in lines at the hospitals and the emergency rooms and the clinics, waiting to be seen by the doctors because socialized medicine doesn't work and it sucks. I could actually start a whole series about socialized medicine and tell you from top to bottom all the lovely little experiences that I've had here in Europe with this for shit socialized healthcare that they go on and on about, or how Roseanne Barr once said on national news, they live like kings over there in Europe. Well, Roseanne, why don't you come on over to Europe and I'll give you a grand tour of all the experiences that I've had personally and see how you feel at the end of the year. Getting back to Alfie, because that's the subject at hand, his name is kind of perfect for the situation. If some of you will recall, back in 1966, there was a film with Michael Caine entitled
Alfie!
Alfie, is it just for the moment we live?
I've had a lovely time, Alfie.
And in the film, he's a philandering bachelor who is very much into promiscuous sex, and by the end of the film, he's impregnated a one-night stand. And they both decide to get an illegal abortion. Upon getting this abortion, Alfie sees the aborted fetus and sort of breaks down. And the point or message that comes across in this moment of the film is that life is precious. He's sort of reflective of the fact that life is precious and it is important. And so it's a bit ironic that in this situation, Alfie has been murdered, given that life is in fact very precious and very important. There are many countries in the EU that have made it legal to euthanize people, in Switzerland, Belgium, if I recall correctly, Germany, also Colombia and India. And there are some states in the United States which have legalized assisted suicide as well, including California, Montana, Washington, D.C., and Oregon, and my home state of Washington. You know what I want to know? I want to know where Jimmy Kimmel is, because before he was crying his eyes out on his late night talk show, bringing his son out on stage to talk about how wonderful socialized healthcare was and how we needed it to protect children and how we needed it to save lives. Well, what about this life? Where are you now, Jimmy? Where are you condemning the British government who murdered this poor little boy yesterday? Because of their taking him off life support, they in essence killed him. Where are you now? Where are all these other advocates for socialized healthcare, for universal healthcare? Where's Hillary Clinton? Where are all these people who advocate it, who say that it's such a great thing? Where's Bernie Sanders? This is exactly what the higher powers want. They want to control people, and they want to be able to dictate everything, including who lives and who dies. So the British government is acting as though they're Nazis, because at the end of the day, if the British government has banned guns and the British police, as far as I know, don't even have guns, why were they blockading the hospital? Why couldn't the parents take their son home? Why? For what reason? Well, they're supposedly saying it was for his sake, because he wouldn't have made it. Well, here's the thing. Italy, where I live, actually granted little Alfie citizenship, Italian citizenship. They offered him citizenship to come here so that he could get treatment at the Bambino Gesù Ospedale in the Vatican. Pope Francis actually met with Alfie's parents. It's like the one and only time I've ever agreed with the Pope on anything, and wanted to do everything in his power to help this little boy who the British government were in the process of murdering. According to an article by the New York Times, his parents lost their petition to keep their son alive. They lost and were turned away from the High Court, the Supreme Court, and European Court of Human Rights. On Wednesday, the British Court of Appeal upheld a ruling that approved the withdrawal of care and sustenance. It also prohibited Alfie's parents from seeking treatment elsewhere, which is just insane. Why would you prevent the parents of the child to go seek help? Look at what happened in the case of Lorenzo Oil. There was a fairly famous case back in I think it was the 80s. Pretty sure it was the 80s, maybe it was the 70s. But there was a film that came out in 1992 with Susan Sarandon and Nick Nolte. It was based on a true story of an Italian father and an American mother who had a child named Lorenzo, and he had a condition that I cannot pronounce to save my life. Adrenoleukodystrophy, the acronym of which is ALD. And this condition, it's a very rare condition that young boys get in their youth when they're about 8 or 9, I believe. He could no longer speak. He couldn't, I don't think he could eat or move. I'm not really remembering the story all that well, but at any rate, he had a very rare condition, and the doctors told them that he was going to die within the next year or two, that they needed to prepare themselves. But what the parents did was they kept him at home, and they did their own research, and they actually managed to find a cure for him from an extract of olive oil. And that's why the name of the film is Lorenzos Oil. And he ended up dying when he was in his 40s, I believe. So he outlived what the doctors had said he would by about 3 decades. About 30 years longer than what the doctors had predicted. So it can happen. And so even if the doctors had been right, even if the child had died, even if the parents had taken him home and let him die at home with them in their arms, why is this wrong? Why is it not okay for them to take him home? Why is it that the child is suddenly in the custody of the hospital or the government? Who has the right to decide that if your parents are trying to do right by you and actually trying to help you live, they're not being abusive, they're not trying to hurt him, they're not trying to kill him. That's what the hospital was trying to do. That's what the courts were trying to do. He's just another number or statistic on their documents. Why does the government have the right to decide whether you should live or die? No one has the right to decide whether you should live or die. And the irony in all of this is that socialized medicine, the grand, huge irony in all of this is that socialized medicine is supposed to be to help people. It's supposed to be that everyone has a right to life. Everyone has this right to health care. Everybody has the right to free health care. Health care would indicate or imply that you're being taken care of. I mean, doctors, when they become doctors, they're supposed to take the Hippocratic Oath, which is first do no harm. And for those people out there who say that, yeah, it might sound cruel, but the baby just wouldn't have had a chance at life, how do you know that? You're not God. You have no idea what was in store for that child's life. None. This is so evil. You have no heart at the point of saying that this child has no value to life. This child has no purpose to be here. That we're going to take this child away. You guys need to wake up. This is happening right now. This is happening. And it's happening here in Europe, it's happening in the States. Slowly but surely it's happening all over, the Western world at least. And we have to be prepared for it. Did you like this vlog, everybody? Make sure to hit like down below here on YouTube. Make sure to hit subscribe on the big red button. And make sure to check out and follow my blog series, Why You Don't Have a Girlfriend and Why, as a Result, I Don't Have a Boyfriend, which you can find at thegregariousgiggler.blogspot.com. Stay tuned for my upcoming vlogs, and have a great day, everybody. Ciao!